Hey, what's up guys? This is Brian from As the Structure Fails, and I'm going to be showing you how I mix the surface. Alright, sweet, let's get into some processing. So I completely replaced the kick using trigger 2. I'm using the black kick from Slate. And this kick's got a lot of click to it, so I dialed some of that out with this EQ here. But I'm also using the room mic just subtly. You can barely hear that honestly, but so yeah, the main thing I wanted to do is just take out a bit of that click and add in some 60 Hertz. Then if you check out the snare, I'm boosting a ton of fundamental here, taking out a bunch of mid-range and adding some high-end. So I'm going to bypass all the snare plugins. Now let's engage this EQ. Now we have a transient designer by Waves to add some attack. Let's hear with that bypassed. Then after that, we have a JST clip. I'm boosting up about 6 dB. It's just kind of making the drum sound a lot fatter, cutting off those harsh transients. So that's the final snare tone. With all the plugins bypassed. And back on. Much better. Now I have all the toms routed to one channel. So with toms, I typically like to add an EQ first thing and then just basically do a smiley face EQ where I'm boosting the low end, boosting the top end, and then cutting out the mid-range. Now engaged. Sounds way cleaner. I'm going to bypass all the plugins. Let's hear that. So let's start off with this first plugin. We got the API 2500. So what this is basically adding punch to the guitars. So if I go to a section with a lot of pauses, what this is doing is emphasizing those first transients so that they really punch through the speakers. I'll start off by bypassing it. Now with it. So when the guitar comes back in, it really kind of punches you. And to get that effect, we got the slow attack, so attack at 30 milliseconds, then the release pretty quick. Ratio at 4. Then we get the threshold pulled back a bit, so I'm getting around 6 dB. And the left-right link is on independent. Next up, we got some desperately needed EQ. I took out a bunch of mid-range, boosted a lot of high-end. This is without the EQ. Now with. So again, I'm just kind of doing that smiley face thing. And then after that, we got a C4 here. So this is a multi-band compressor. And I'm using this to clamp down on the low-end palm mutes. So I have that set from 98 to 350 roughly. So every time I palm mute, it's just going to duck down that low end. That really helps with keeping your mix clean, because when you do palm mutes, it just adds all this low-end bloom, which we don't really want. And then after that, we got an L1 limiter in stereo. Just carving off a bit of the peaks so that it's a bit more even. And then we got the S1 imager, so I'm using this to spread out the guitars a bit wider. I only have it set to 1.10, and the default setting, like unaffected, is 1. So I'm just going up about 10%. For this post-rock lead, I'm just cranking the reverb send a bit more and the delay, so we get this. And then for this other lead track, I'm just backing that off a bit. And later in the song, there's this shreddy, tappy part. And I drastically reduced the reverb and delay for this track because I don't want the notes to get lost. I want it to be nice and audible. And there's a couple clean guitar parts in this song. The one right before the breakdown here. I just have some FabFilter Saturn, adding a bit of distortion to this. bit of compression here with the API. Quite a bit of compression. And then we're doing some EQ sculpting where I'm dropping out all the low end to kind of get that lo-fi sound, and then scooping out a bunch of 2000, boosting some top end. And then here with the C4, I'm just trying to tame these low mids. And that covers all the guitar leads. We can move on to bass now. So for the bass, I'm using...
Hey guys, this is Carter, my brother Kyle from As the Structure Fails. Thanks for watching the mix preview.
So if you'd like to see Brian mix the full song, click the link in the description to join the group.
Since we update it monthly, you're gonna gain access to a ton of super valuable music production tips. We'll see you in there.
Cheers.